Hi, welcome back to the Beauty Authority. I'm Tatiana, New Beauty's Director of Aesthetic Content. And today we're talking about one of the biggest questions GLP users have. What should I actually be eating? And I'm joined by holistic nutritionist and New Beauty Brain Trust member, Jennifer Hanway, who's breaking down the simplest, most realistic ways to feel your best while you're on a GLP-1. Hi, Jennifer. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you for having me.
It's so great to see you. And you have become such a wonderful resource for New Beauty on GLP-1 eating and the right nutrition we should be consuming during this time. So, my first question is when someone's just getting started, what are the things they should be prioritizing or adding into their diet?
I think it's really important for people to understand that when they first start any of the GLP-1 medications, it's a transition time. So it's okay. Number one, it's okay not to be perfect from the get-go. It's going to take a little while for you to adjust, for your body to adjust, for your eating habits to adjust. So I think that's number one is just to give yourself a little grace with this, especially in that adjustment period. And then the next thing is really switching our mindset. So a lot of the time when someone is trying to lose weight, they're really coming at it from a volume point of view. Now, this is before a GLP-1. So if you've ever tried to lose weight, which I put my hand up in this category too, I'm trying to think, what can I eat that's going to fill me up that isn't going to be a ton of calories? So that might be a ton of veggies, things like popcorn, things like fibrous foods, anything like that. With GLP-1s, we have to switch that mindset. What we're really thinking about is what I call bang for your buck nutrition. So every bite has to have a job. And really, when we're thinking about this, the priorities that we're thinking of are making sure that you're getting enough protein and making sure you're getting enough micronutrients. So your vitamins, your minerals, and your antioxidants.
And protein does get so much attention with GLP-1s. How much protein should someone be eating? What is realistic on a daily basis?
Yeah, and protein is having its moment in the spotlight, and that's wonderful. And it should have been here for years. One of the reasons why we feel like we're being told to eat protein all of the time is that over the last 10 to 15 years, we've actually had some misinformation around protein. So it's not that protein is just good for GLP-1 patients, the protein is good for everyone. But what we really have to be aware of with GLP-1s is that you have a lower appetite. So again, everything that we eat has to be of value to us, and protein is one of those most important things. Now, one of the reasons why we say to eat a lot of protein is that because we want to preserve our lean muscle mass. So our lean muscle mass, it's the engine of our metabolism. And if we're not following a strategic plan when we're on a GLP-1, we can see that some of the weight and a good proportion of that weight that we lose is muscle mass rather than body fat. So by prioritizing protein in our diet, we're making sure we're keeping that lean muscle mass. Now, when it comes to amounts, ideally we want to aim for about 1 gram per pound of body weight. So, an ideal body weight as well. So, let's say that we want to be 130 pounds, we might be looking at 130 grams of protein a day. Where I ask people to start is think about 30 grams at each meal. So, 30 grams at breakfast, 30 grams at lunch, and 30 grams at dinner.
So you should be eating the protein that is right for your goal weight.
It depends.
Okay.
Now, again, it's always a little bit of an art and a science. And I think the most important thing is to make sure that you're having enough protein. Most people are not. Most of my clients and patients come to me and they're somewhere around maybe 60 to 70 grams of protein, which is too low for any of us. So I don't like to say you should only be eating this amount of protein. I like to say eat as much protein as you can. It's very self regulating as well. Protein is one of our most satiating nutrients. So we really can't overeat protein. So I prefer to say eat as much protein as you can rather than aim for this amount.
And does it matter how we are getting our protein?
Yes, 100%. So, again, when we think about traditional weight loss, we're thinking about volume. So, people might be getting protein from things like tofu or quinoa or beans or lentils because they're really, really filling. We have to switch that on its head when we're thinking about a GLP-1. So, what we want to be thinking about is, again, bang for your buck proteins. And these really are our complete proteins. So, these are our animal based proteins. Now, the reason why is that they have a complete amino acid profile. So, they keep us feeling full for longer and they help with lean muscle mass protection as well. So you're going to get more nutrition, more bang for your buck, and more protein, bioavailable protein from a chicken breast than you are from a bowl of quinoa.
And what about protein shakes? Because those are huge. I mean, we're seeing protein everywhere right now because of
Right?
everyone's success on GLP-1s. There was a protein drink at Dunkin' Donuts the other day. They've just released a new menu. So, what about supplementing outside of, solid foods that we're eating?
Yeah, and protein is in everything right now. Everyone is making money from protein. Starbucks has a protein menu. The Kardashians have a protein popcorn. Like it's everywhere.
Yeah.
But again, just like with anything, just like with skincare, there's great sources of protein powder and then there's not so great sources of protein powder. So for me, I'm not going to be eating protein popcorn, but I would be having a really great quality protein powder. So let's talk about kind of how we find the difference of those. So when we're talking about proteins for GLPs and proteins for everybody, we really want to be thinking about bioavailable proteins. Now, we typically see that, again, those animal proteins, if we're talking about a protein powder, a beef protein or a whey protein powder, they're going to be the most useful for us. Our body knows what to do with that protein. If we're thinking about a protein powder that is pea or hemp or rice, those can be a little bit more pro inflammatory and our body doesn't use them as well. Now, if you're a vegetarian, we might want to do a grass fed whey protein. And if you are a vegan, you can do some of the plant based protein powders, but I recommend supplementing with an amino acid supplement, something like a branch chain amino acid supplement. So that's your protein powders. You really do get what you pay for with protein powder. I like to recommend to my clients a grass-fed beef protein powder. It doesn't taste of beef. It's fine. It doesn't taste of beef. A grass-fed whey protein powder, that can be fantastic as well. So that in a smoothie with a little bit of green, some almond butter, that can be really palatable for people as well and is a great option. But when we start to move down the line of it gets more and more processed and it gets more and more added for the sake of being there, like our protein donuts or our protein popcorn. I'd rather people getting their protein from real sources than a junk food that has been healthified by adding protein in there.
So we have to do a little bit of research and a little bit of reading before we start incorporating protein powders or different mixes into our diet.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
typically, the type of protein powder that is in things like, I always use that protein popcorn, it's not a high quality protein powder.
Mm.
And it's really not gonna give us enough. I think, like, with the protein popcorn, I think, like, 1 cup is, like, 7 grams of protein or something like that.
Right. You would have to eat like a whole bag or,
You exactly,
yeah.
and it's not a great quality protein in the first place, so really a lot of these things are marketing ploys rather than great sources of protein.
So stick to the tried and true.
Exactly.
Yes. Are there any specific foods that can help manage side effects like nausea, constipation, and fatigue? Is there anything we should be doing to mitigate those side effects early on?
Yeah, so nausea is a very common side effect of a GLP-1 medication. These days, with the different types of medications we have seen that come down, but it's definitely one of the first symptoms that we see, especially when someone starts to use a GLP-1. So, number one is that GLPs slow down gastric emptying, and that's why we can get that nausea. The number one thing we can do there is to make sure that we're eating really simple, light meals. So typically, it's the high fat meals that are causing us that nausea. So I had a client who just started her GLP-1 and they went out for a 5 course meal for New Year's Eve. And it was in a restaurant and everything was rich in sauces and she felt terrible afterwards. So, really, whilst we don't want to completely cut fats out of our diet, we want to keep it to a minimum. So, a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of avocado. That's really going to help with the nausea. Now, with the constipation, again, that's because of that slowed gastric emptying. Now, the thing I don't recommend, which seems counterintuitive, is to then go and eat a ton of fibrous vegetables or take a fiber supplement. All that's going to do is make things worse. So if we think about a blocked sink, if we add more in there, it's going to cause even more blockages. What
Right.
we want to do is make sure that we're hydrated. So that's number one. Now, with GLPs, they actually stop us from wanting to drink as much as well. So there's that piece of the puzzle. So we have to make sure that we're hydrated. When we're hydrated, we can move things through the GI system a lot more easily. Then we can start thinking about adding a little bit of fiber. If we're adding fiber, cooked vegetables, we can blend them down, we can put them in soups. but be gentle with the fiber rather than putting a ton in. We're going to make things worse. Now, fatigue is typically coming from we've got a lowered calorie intake. So, again, we're going back for that. Every bite has to have a job, that bang for your buck nutrition. So, making sure that we are getting in A, enough calories, and B, those calorie dense foods. The other thing is to make sure that we're managing our stress and that we're sleeping. And then the other thing that we typically see is because people start to see results, they start to feel better, they're like, yep, new me, I've got all of these good habits going, then they'll go crazy with exercise as well. And so when we have reduced calorie intake with too much exercise, that's when we can start to feel fatigue. So 100% we want to be exercising on GLP-1s, prioritizing strength training, but we don't want to go too far the other way. And then the other part is really making sure that your basics and your foundational lab work is good. So ideally you would have had this done before starting the medication, but just making sure that we're keeping an eye on iron levels, vitamin B levels, vitamin D levels. Those things are going to be really important to you.
Yeah, even if you are going through a telehealth provider, you can still get all of that blood work done and get all of that data before, during, and, while you're on a GLP-1.
Exactly. And it's really important to make sure that you're doing that. So we want to, before you go on a GLP-1, we want to make sure that your body is optimized for that GLP-1. We want to make sure that if we are slightly nutrient deficient in something, we're either making sure that we have that in the diet or we're topping that up with a supplement. And ideally, when we're on any kind of medication, we are getting our lab work done 3 months, 6 months, ideally every 3 months, because we want to be able to make changes as we go along.
Right. And you mentioned having trouble eating and sometimes even drinking. What do you recommend if someone is going through that? Sometimes in the first couple of days after the shot, you really struggle to eat and drink. How can we get the best nutrients if we're eating so much less or we don't want to eat at all?
Yeah, so in terms of the hydration piece, I think adding a really great quality electrolyte can be beneficial. So making sure that the water that we are drinking is staying in the body, it's hydrating the cells. Being on a little bit of schedule helps both with drinking and eating as well. So maybe this is something that you set a reminder on your phone for every hour to make sure that you're having a glass of water, just something like that, because that's one of the benefits of GLP-1s is that they take that noise away, but then sometimes we need to be reminded as well. So especially with the drinking, maybe you just set an alarm every hour. You always keep some water on your desk, just so you're constantly reminding yourself of that. And the same with eating, but obviously at a lower pace or lower frequency. So we do want to prioritize that we're eating meals on a regular basis because that's how we're going to get our nutrition in. That's how we're going to prevent side effects like losing our lean muscle mass or the skin aging benefits that negative effects that we see with the GLP-1s. So making sure you're having a breakfast, lunch, and dinner, making sure this is prepared the night before. And I would say to people, typically we see in the morning that the nausea is at the lowest. So maybe you have a bigger breakfast and then your meals get smaller as you go throughout the day.
And is there anything that we absolutely shouldn't be doing that can make muscle loss worse or make our weight loss more difficult?
Yeah, skipping meals and having low protein. So, again, I'm going to say it over and over again, every bite has to have a job. And when we see low calorie diets, so typical low calorie diets of the past, when we've seen things like the medical shake diets, we're losing body fat and we're losing lean muscle mass. And if it's done wrongly, it can be anything between about 25 to 45% of your overall weight loss, which is not great because we want to keep that lean muscle mass. Now, especially if we're a woman over 40. So, for women over 40 who represent a big proportion of GLP-1 users, it's harder for us to build muscle and to keep that lean muscle mass as well. So, we want to do everything we can to preserve it. So, making sure that we're eating that protein and we're making sure that we're strength training, we actually can see that people put on lean muscle mass and burn body fat if they're doing it right on a GLP-1.
Wonderful. And as a holistic nutritionist, I'm sure you've seen it all and heard it all. And now we are in this new era where a large majority of the population is on the drug, considering the drug on it or have been successful. What are just if we could pinpoint three nutritional habits that people should get right while they're on a GLP-1, what are the things that everyone should be doing?
I'm going to say it again, making sure that you've got your protein in place. So 30 grams at each meal, especially at breakfast. So I think prioritizing breakfast is when we're most primed to make lean muscle mass. So that's the most, breakfast really is the most important meal of the day. So a good 30 grams of protein at breakfast, really, really important. Stay hydrated. That's not something that we hear about enough, but that helps keep us mentally sharp. It stops us from fatigue. And then instead of focusing on volume eating, think of nutrient dense eating. So instead of having your iceberg lettuce, have your arugula. Instead of having your chicken breast, have your wild caught salmon. So making sure that every bite is really optimized as possible.
And then one last question. A lot of people might be either, tapering off the medication or trying to adjust to now being in maintenance mode. What are some things we should keep in mind if we are at that stage where you've reached your goal weight and now you're moving on to a more stabilized you know, treatment?
Yeah, so I think it depends on whether you are coming off a GLP-1 completely or you're staying it on for maintenance. And this is going to vary with everybody. So some people say, you know what, I just want to be on this for 3 months, 6 months, and I want to come off it. Other people are like, I feel good. I'm going to be on this for as long as I can. Really, again, be giving yourself grace to adjustment periods as well. So
Mhm.
understanding that as you taper off the medication, that food noise is going to come back. So,
Yeah.
from a physiological level, from our body level, we can do everything that we can to mimic the effects of GLP-1s. So, we can make sure that we have more lean muscle mass to help balance out our blood sugar. We can eat a high protein, high fiber diet to make sure that we're keeping that blood sugar balanced. Unfortunately, what we can't do is switch off that food noise. And
Mhm.
that has been such an interesting piece of this GLP-1 puzzle that hasn't been addressed enough in weight loss
Yeah.
beforehand. So I think it's the biggest thing when you are transitioning off or coming to a lower dose is again that giving yourself grace that that food noise is going to come back and doing everything that you can to support yourself with that with a understanding that it's going to happen, B, being mindful around food. So, not rushing in, not eating huge portions again, building a support network. So, it's amazing how easy it is just to say to your partner or say to your friends, I'm going through this transition. Can we make sure that we don't have junk food in the house? Or if there's junk food in the house, can we put it in a specific cupboard? If we're seeing our friends, can we do an activity that's not food related? So, I
Mhm.
think building your support system and understanding that no one is going to judge you for that, that's really important too.
That is such great advice, just to give yourself grace. And I think anxiety is such a big part of it too, especially if you start feeling those, the food noise starts coming back, and anxiety that everything's going to come back and you're going to go back to the first, stage one. So that's a really great tip. Thank you so much, Jennifer. This has been super insightful. And as always, you're a wonderful, trusted resource for New Beauty. So I really appreciate your time and your expertise.
No, thank you for having me. And you and I, we got the memo about where for today, right? We're so aligned.
We are
Um,
aligned and definitely, everybody should listen to what we have to say because
right, we've got our cereal
trustworthy.
shirts on.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, and thank you for joining New Beauty.
Thank you.